Well, okay, I guess let's just part the weekend first. I mean, now you've had a bit more time to analyse it. Just what are your reflections on that one?
Pretty similar to post-game, if I'm honest. Like, I think my view on the first half hasn't changed. I thought we gave away too many penalties to be able to stay in the game. We gave 11 away in the first half and we gave 3 away in the second. So that tells a story. You know, some of those were set piece, some of those were breakdown. And I've been through it today with the referees again. And there's always going to be a few contentious issues, but generally, like, we weren't disciplined enough. Didn't give ourselves an opportunity to get in the game. But having said that, I thought, you know, again, on reflection, we came back into the game exceptionally well. We got our set piece sorted and we started to really stress Sale with the ball in hand, which I was very pleased with.
Yeah, they seem to be really, the referees seem to be really harsh on not kind of rolling away, clearing out the ruck space. Is that something that they said that they're kind of focusing on this start of the new season?
Yeah, they always have an emphasis on it, and I understand why. They want the game to be sped up, and they want the game to flow. So it's a balance, John, because we can't. What you can't do is just give up possession at every breakdown. You have to fight for the ball. We just got to be a bit more accurate in the way we did it. And I thought sometimes, you know, in a game you've always got a plan, and you always want to win the game. Those two things are a given. But what pleased me was the reaction to tweaks and changes that we made and the players made. Reaped rewards in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the England training squad announced this morning. 5 Bath guys, second most represented club from the Premiership, but a few of your fringe guys not included. What's your kind of reaction to that squad news?
Yeah, so obviously massively proud of the 5 lads that we've got in there. The effort that they've put in, you know, through pre-season to get themselves in a place to be playing for Bath. But obviously this camp comes quite early in the year. It's a provisional camp. But it's a great start for those boys. And I think, you know, the lads who haven't been picked that maybe were there at the back end of last year, it's disappointing for them, but that's international rugby and it's the very top level. They want to work hard. They're already asking what they can do to get back in there. So all in all, very pleased with the 5, obviously. Yeah,
unfortunately, the kind of headlines from your game at the weekend, couple of knocks. Do you have any update on Ben Spencer first?
Yeah, to a degree. So Ben's suffered a hamstring injury in a tackle. He's had a scan, and we're just waiting for a more specific time frame. But what I can say is it's going to be a little while, but it's not. He's not having surgery. So it's one where we're rehabbing him. The team here rehabbing him, and we look to get him going again as soon as possible.
I guess that's obviously a blow to you. He's a big part of the squad, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he has been ever since he's come here. But I think you hit the nail on the head there, Johnny. He's been an outstanding performer for us, but he's also a big member of the squad off the field, and he'll continue to do that. He'll continue to help the boys. And one thing I know about Ben is he's incredibly competitive, and he'll be, whenever he's given a time frame, he'll be looking to beat that to get back fit.
Are you looking outside of the club to fill the hole there, or are you going to put your faith in those young guys?
I have absolute faith in those young guys, but on the same token, I need to look at the market. We're now down to 3 scrum halves, so you got to be able to fulfil your match obligations, and we need 2 scrum halves in the squad for the way we want to play. So yeah, I will look around, but again, not rush into anything and see who's available and could potentially help us.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. In terms of the trialists, is there any update on their progression? Are they still with the club? Have you made any decisions?
Yeah, so Richard de Carpentier is I think we're going to announce it this afternoon, but I'm happy to tell you guys that he's impressed sufficiently. He's done really well, and I'm gonna keep him till the end of the season. So he's been outstanding. He's obviously got premiership experience. He's got experience of the 7 circuit, which, you know, I like guys that have been on that circuit and work their way through. They work hard. They're competitive. So, Rich will be here. Delighted to say that he'll be here till the end of the season.
He did well at Cardiff, I felt. Did that help go a long way to helping kind of make your mind up?
It did, but equally, I did speak to him before the game, and I said, look, you're only going to get 40 minutes. I'm not going to base a year-long decision on 40 minutes. I feel that's unfair. He's trained very well. He adds to the environment, and he comes into what he knows is an incredibly competitive area for us. But he likes to do that. He likes to compete. He likes to test himself. And yeah, he's already adding. So I'm delighted he's here to the end of the year.
And is the big thinking of his addition because of those international breaks when you're expecting to lose so many in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. There's international periods where, you know, we've got players who, well, you've seen Sam be named, Miles has been involved, Josh Bayliss has been involved with Scotland, Touloupe obviously has been involved with Wales. We'll see how those play out, but it's important that we've got numbers obviously to play, but also to train. So Rich is somebody who we're obviously in those periods is going to be big for us.
What's the situation with Danny? And if you don't mind me asking, also, what are there's Premiership Rugby brought in some slightly new concussion rules, haven't they? What practically does that mean to you?
So yeah, it means that it's anything new that's brought in this area is around the welfare of the player. So we welcome the additions. It's more rigor to the system, really, John, without going into crazy detail on it. But the return to play process has got a bit more rigor involved in it, and rightly so. I'd say, you know, it's obviously better than it's ever been before, and it really is looking after these guys. So there's a bit more rigor involved, and the checks along the way, I guess, along the different stages through the week. So Danny's on his return now. He's on his GRTP. You know, and if all that goes well, it'll allow him to be available on the weekend. Yeah,
I say, because the new things that I know they haven't extended the period of the return to play, have they? Is that part of it, or that's not part of it? Have I got that wrong?
It can be extended, but it's to do with making sure the different stages are hit. So what, you know, as a player, if you come off the field, you get assessed straight away. Obviously, that's the first stage. You get assessed after the game, and then you also get assessed the day after the game as well. And the reason it can be longer is because at any of those points, you can go back to the start. All through the week, you can go back to the start. So what it's doing is protecting the welfare of the players, and it's allowing for, I guess, delayed symptoms and that sort of stuff. So it really is covering every base and making sure that when we select players to be back on the field, that they're good and they're right to go. I think as a club and personally, I always take the view that we need to be very sure and very clear with this. So in all honesty, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference to us, because the way that our medical team and myself work, we were at those levels anyway.
Yeah, great. Any frustration? Because I think the tackler on Danny, he got pinged for being offside, didn't he?
Yeah. Look, it's you're going to get them on. You're going to get frustrations through the year. I'm not going to sit here and get too wound up about it. It's I'd rather be talking about the good bits we did than the decisions that didn't quite go our way. So the dialogue with the referees has been outstanding. I've been on the phone to them today. We've had clips over the weekend, and you know, that's what we need to do. We just need to keep a strong working relationship. That they've got a tough job, and what we can do is to, you know, do the best we can to produce good games of rugby on the weekend.
A couple more bits on a couple of players, if you don't mind. Do you have any update on Joe Cockney-Seeger's situation?
Yeah, so Joe's seen the specialist. He doesn't require surgery either, which is great news. It is a knee injury, and it's likely something that's going to keep him out for a couple of months. We'll have an update again when we can put something more specific on it. I don't want to be too specific now because there's still a few things up in the air, but it doesn't require surgery. It's obviously gutting for him. His history over last year, how well he got back and performed with England in the summer. He was ready to kick on. He trained outstandingly well. But the big thing now is support for Joe, making sure that he gets all the right treatment from our guys, and very positive that he doesn't need surgery. He's with us, and we'll crack on and get him moving again. He's already had a bit of downtime, and now he's back into his rehab.
I say, kind of, how's he dealing mentally? Because I mean, I feel awful for him. It must be such a blow.
Of course, yeah. But what we do is we aim to support those guys. It's tough. Like, the sport is tough, and sometimes as a player you go through periods where you get knocked down. But Joe's somebody who has showed a huge amount of resilience to get back and get himself going again. And we've learned a lot about him and how we can support him. And we've got some fantastic people, both in the medical department, but also from a mental health and mental skills perspective, that will allow him to get back to his best very, very quickly and support him through, you know, what's a difficult time, because young guys playing the sport now, they want to be out there and playing as much as they can.
Yeah, just a couple more checks for people, if you don't mind. The people that weren't involved, Rory, Mack and Will Stewart, how are they doing?
They're pretty good. Yeah, they're in that final stage now, so they're pretty much back in full training, and they won't be too far away.
And what about Talupe? How soon could we expect to see him involved?
Yeah, so Talupe's obviously been away with the Lions, had his break, he's back in, and it's a judgment for us then about when he's ready. So it won't be too long for Toby.
There's nothing tying your hands anymore, though, is there, in terms of rest periods? It is now down to you.
Yeah, it's down to us. He's had a rest period, but he's also then got to have a reconditioning build-up period. And because of the changes we've made to our game, it's important he understands our game as well before we get him back out there. How
do you feel Josh Bayliss went at 8? That was, a bit of a new move for you.
I thought he did well. And we know what we're going to get from him from a work rate perspective. He's tireless. He leads our defensive line, and I thought actually the combination of him, Miles, and Sam was a strong back row against a Sale back row with some real quality in as well. So I thought the three of them worked well together. So whenever I look at the back row, I always look at the balance, and I thought the balance was pretty good. And then obviously Yaku coming off the bench and 9 carries I think he made in 20 odd minutes. So he's certainly someone who we want to have the ball in his hands.
I know I spoke to you about it a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't end up really writing any of it. It looks to me like Sam Underhill's in some of his best form that I've seen of him playing for Bath for a little while. How do you think he's going, and why do you think he's doing so well?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he made over 100 meters with the ball in hand this weekend, and that you've been covering the game for a long time. You understand that if you're a forward and you're not returning kicks, then to make 100 meters with the ball is pretty impressive. Very impressive, in fact. So I think, you look at Sam and he's diligent. He works incredibly hard. We all know about his defensive prowess, but that attacking side of his game has really developed. He seems to be loving it. He seems to be really enjoying the hustle, enjoying the work that goes into it. And I think he's in some fantastic form. And I love seeing him out there in a Bath jersey and really taking it to the opposition. So Sam is somebody he's a huge part of our team, and long may it continue.
Maybe you disagree, but quite a few people would say maybe he's played better in the last few years for England than he has for Bath. Is that something you've ever challenged him on? Any conversations you've ever had? Is that bringing out the best in him?
Yeah, with all of our internationals, there's always they're quality players, because obviously else they wouldn't get picked in national rugby. But the key for them to be absolutely great players and be the best they can be is to be able to come back to Bath and do the same thing and raise the levels. And I think Sam, he was outstanding against Cardiff as well in a pre-season game. And then to follow that up with Sale, it's a testament to him. He does love being here. He loves being part of the club, and he's a real focal point for the lads around him. So he's always in a place where he wants to compete and play well for Bath. So that's on us and on him. And I think he's risen to the challenge outstandingly.
And then just to look ahead to the weekend, Newcastle showed that despite defeat, they've got plenty of threats there, haven't they?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, all over the place. I think in different ways as well. Obviously, Adam in the back three, Adam Radwan is one of the most electric wingers out there at the moment. But then you can go through their whole team. I thought Carl Ferns carried well for them. We know him well. He's a dominant physical ball carrier, and they've also got a drive. So yeah, they're a dangerous team. I think you saw from the Quins game that they've got the capacity to score some decent tries. So they're a team obviously who have threats forwards and backs, and what we've got to do is make sure that we can play our game against them and nullify those threats and let ours go against them.
Thoughts of returning home to what I imagine is going to be a pretty full looking Rec?
Yeah, it's exciting. Just chatting to the lads, how many of them have never played in front of a full Rec, and the people who seem to be almost household names in the team now, like Will Muir and Tom de Glanville, having never lined up at the Rec in front of a full crowd. It's exciting for them. It's exciting for me. I think the Rec, I've always spoken very fondly of the Rec and what it gives us as a club, what it allows the players. And this weekend is a huge moment to have everybody back there.
Do you think those players will have to make a little bit of an adjustment to that kind of, that extra pressure, that expectation, that weight of the crowd on them?
I think they thrive on that. I think that it's been lacking for so long that It's important to understand that there is a pressure associated with that, but that's why they're professional sportsmen. They love that feeling of, they're in the arena, they're on the dance floor, if you like, and it's their chance to go and show all the work that they do in the week. It's something that they thrive on rather than that they feel under pressure from.
Absolutely. All right, thanks, Stuart. I'll let some other people jump in.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Thanks.
Hey, Stuart. Just with Joe, does that make the autumn test look a bit unlikely given the injury?
Sorry, I missed the first bit.
Just with him playing the autumn test, does that look quite unlikely now with England? Is that if it's going to be a couple of months?
I would say so, yeah. But like I say, that's probably for another time when we determine the actual length of it. But the focus for him now is getting back fit ASAP and getting him, getting his body in the right place and then getting back on the field. But it's a little bit too early to tell exactly what game that will be. So we'll leave that one.
With the sevens guys, I mean, you talked about liking sort of their approach, and you've got a few there now. What is it about them that you're a big fan of?
They're obviously different players. Rory and Will play in the backs. They're different players. Rich is a forward, but that they have a capacity to work. If you think about a sevens weekend or a sevens tournament, they travel, they're up, they train, they play, they rest, they play. Like, it's pretty relentless. So in order to do that, they have a very well developed system. So physiologically, they understand their bodies well. They can really push themselves, recover, push themselves again. And I think it's not every sevens player, but certainly the characteristics that we see in these guys is that they have a really, really clear understanding of themselves and how hard they can push themselves. Because the sevens is pretty relentless. There's travel, like I said, there's rest, and then there's play and play and play. So they have to be good at recovery. They have to be good at looking after their bodies, and also they have a skill set which I like. They can find space. When they find space, they can accelerate it, and I think they're great skills to have in the Premiership, particularly the way we're seeing it now.
It's obviously not been an easy time for those sevens guys who were part of the England programme. In terms of taking them in, are you surprised that maybe more clubs haven't had a look and gone down that route?
It's up to obviously individual clubs. I think we've had a need for certain people with certain attributes, and if that's something that you've got a need for, then I'd be surprised if people don't look there. It's a great breeding ground for professional players. The program they run is very professional, and it's unfortunate the way that it's been a bit rocky for them over the last couple of years, but certainly they have been exceptional at breeding young professional athletes.
Just on Orlando Bailey, how was he sort of post-match and in the days since after the end of the game?
Yeah, he was obviously gutted after the game. He's taken the opportunity to win the game, and kick didn't go over, so he was gutted, right? And you'd expect that. But since then, he's been, he completely understands the decision that he made, that was made on the field, and what potentially do differently next time. Maybe nothing, but what I love about him is he's out there practicing the kick, practicing all his kicks, but he's not consumed by it. Like, he understands that it was maybe a metre or so off target, and that's winning and losing in the Premiership. And the thing about Orlando is, if he'd have kicked it or not kicked it, he'd have done the same thing today. And I think that consistency in young players is really, really important. He's somebody who, he understands the bigger picture. He loves playing for the club, and he'll be better for that moment. He'll be better for that moment, guaranteed.
And just finally from me, how's that relationship between him and Danny sort of developing?
It's been really good to see. Like, Danny obviously comes with a huge amount of experience, and when Danny signed, we spoke about it. He spoke about how he can help these fellas and how he can allow some of his knowledge and experience to go to them, because he genuinely sees that as a big part of his role over this year is imparting some of his outstanding club and international experience on some of the young guys. And I love to see it. I think it's great, because I think too often it's seen as a one-way thing where, okay, Danny is helping Orlando and the other guys, but actually he's learning off them as well. There's an environment where he can learn off them and pick stuff up off them. So it's not just a one-way thing, and I love seeing how it affects the squad. Yeah.
Thanks, Stuart.
That's true.
Hello, mate.
Just a quick one from me. You spoke about Toby's reconditioning. I thought that was really interesting. Can you just give me a bit more of an indication of the processes that he'll go through, and also the areas which he'll have to adjust to? Because obviously Bath is a team which will be playing differently this year to last.
Yeah, so the reconditioning thing is, so from a rest period perspective, they get a couple of weeks. Any player, whether they've played international or not, they get a couple of weeks complete downtime. So they'll chill out, go with their family, go to the beach, whatever it is they do, which is really important, both physically and mentally, just to switch off and let it go. Then they have a kind of 3-week period of build up. And to be fair to Toby, he was awesome in that. He did all the work that he needed to do. It's not every day, but it's just preparing yourself to go training again, basically. And then when he comes back in, so now he's back in, then we kind of map from that point, the same as we had done with the other players. So if you think about the other players, they get to that point, then they've had an 8-week preseason, and what we need to do is like condense that for Toby so that he's back up and running and playing as soon as possible. So it's a balance between getting everything we want into him from a conditioning and a strength perspective and a rugby perspective to what's essential to allow him to go on and play, because he's a world-class player.
It's not to be too nerdy about it, but is Density helping them out with additional literature, the one-to-ones? He's sitting in a room with the halfbacks. What kind of things will he be helping them with?
Yeah, this is something we're well practiced with, to be honest, because the pre-season, although we had an 8-week pre-season, if you remember at the back end of last year, like the England squad was in a number of different iterations. So we had some people who were away with England for a week, some were for 2, some were for 3. We had Josh Bayliss with Scotland, didn't play a game, but was in isolation. So we've had all these different chunks of people. And what's been really good is the coaches have spent time with them when they come back in, all of them having the same information, getting them all up to the same point. So yeah, it is extra video work, extra board sessions, extra pitch sessions, so that you're trying to get everybody to the same point when you haven't got the same amount of time for everybody.
Brilliant. And just last one from me. You had Newcastle. I think you had a Newcastle first game of the season last year.
Yeah,
and it didn't go your way. Will you be taking any lessons from that game about what Newcastle do? And I don't want you to repeat your last answers so much, but are you focusing more on them or more on what you're going to do?
We're absolutely focusing on us, and that's not because we're playing against Newcastle. That's because we want to develop our style and be better at playing the way we play, over a long period of time. So it's absolutely a focus on us. I think the comparisons to last year is probably, it's quite different in that was our first game. We hadn't had a pre-season game. We hadn't really had a pre-season. So we didn't play or perform anywhere near well enough against them last time. We weren't physical enough. And they're a good side. So this year, no, we absolutely won't be taking them lightly, but we'll be doing that by having an emphasis on what we can do rather than what they could do.
All right, well, best of luck on the weekend.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Stuart, just with Tian, is he like Christmas time? Is it that type of time for him?
Yeah, so he's not back in training yet. He's doing a bit of running, but he's not back in training. So yeah, it's going to be around then.